Imagine promising your husband on your wedding day that you're going to stick to him till death do you part, only to end up like this, a little bit sad by the natural discomforts of life and deciding to not only blow up your life, in her words, and also your marriage. And finally, here you are on TikTok talking about regrets and trying to figure out how you're going to retire. Because truth be told, it's not looking good.
I blew up my life 2.5 years ago. After a year of telling my husband that I was not happy and us talking about divorce, or me talking about divorce, I just decided one day that that was that. I was going to leave. And I packed a suitcase and I left. And for those of you that have also done this, I wonder if you have any regrets.
So she goes to the internet and wants to say, has anybody else done this? I mean, I see thousands of responses there. And she left because she was unhappy. Now, out of all videos, this one's the craziest. This woman here is like, now that I'm divorced, how am I going to retire? Because I no longer have a man who's working with me.
Now that I'm divorced, I have a new set of problems. Not to say that I'm not happier, because I am. But now I have to worry about things like how I'm going to retire. And not that I knew how I was going to retire before when I was married, but at least I had somebody else that was like thinking about it with me, and there was like a team effort going on. And so for those women that get divorced in their 40s, what is the plan for retirement? I mean, I know it's far away, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do.
What do you guys think the plan for retirement is for this chick? Let's see what the people had to say in the comment section down below. Top commenter says, become comfortable saying welcome to Walmart. Yo. Huh. Even she thought this was hilarious and left the laughing emoji. Somebody else responded back and says, if you were married for more than 10 years, you can use your ex's social security at 62 and a half, at 32%, 50% at 67. Then when you turn 70, you can use yours at the max. You can also get life insurance policy. Premiums are about 100 to 150 a month and will pay out 650 to 750 per month when you retire. Your beneficiaries get the balance when you pass away. She responded back and says, I should probably look into this. Somebody else here says, the Golden Girls era is coming. It's coming fast, not slow. Somebody else who says, work until you die. Here's somebody else who added, you will find someone who will team up with you. Here's someone else who says, divorced in my 50s, totally get the retirement thing. I don't have a big plan. I just am 1 to 2 years away. Whoa, it's not going to. I do not think that people realize how impactful AI is and will be. I think people don't realize just how difficult it will be to compete in the near future. And setting yourself up to fend for yourself by yourself is crazy work, if you ask me. And I don't think people really sit down and really think about it. They're like, oh, I'll find a way. Oh, I'll make it through. They don't realize how difficult things are going to be. This is going to be tough for most people. Most bodily abled people are going to have a tough time. Everybody's going to be affected, myself, everybody. But to be a senior citizen and that to be around the corner for you, and of course, these are the men included, unfortunately, who are also impacted by this. I don't think people realize how important it is that they do something to start planning seriously now. This gentleman here says, well, my ex's retirement plan ended up being her taking half of my pension, half of all our investments, half of my 457, half of the cash, half of the home equity. Why aren't you doing that? That's just terrible. Let's talk about the sponsor of this channel, fathershaverights.com. Engaged and soon-to-be married men, a single prenup slip-up can cost you tens of thousands later. Waiting until the last minute or signing under pressure are the mistakes that sink most agreements. My step-by-step guide at fathershaverights.com, built with expert attorneys James Sexton and the lead attorney, shows you exactly how to avoid every costly prenup mistake, all for the price of a couple of coffee dates. Tap the link pinned to the top of the comment section to safeguard your future and join the hundreds of soon-to-be husbands protecting their marriages the right way. Here's somebody else who says, if you're working, max out your 401k. This is really interesting because I don't think I've ever read comments of people who are trying to figure out retirement after divorce. Eye-opening. This comment here says, were you married for 10 years? You can take half of his Social Security. Okay, we already read something like that. And if he dies before then, you can take up to 85%, I think. Damn. See, they see you as a walking lick. You're a walking dead man. And I'm seeing a lot of men here who are also in the same boat due to divorce. This lady here says, I got divorced at 40. I'm 49 and still haven't figured it out. Sheesh. This sounds like a chick who is on the verge of regret.
My comment section is full of delusional men that feel like if two people have been married for, let's say, a decade, and the wife leaves, and the wife takes half when she leaves, that somehow she has stolen from the man. Now, I don't care who's made that money. Either way, there was a 10-year investment from both sides. When the women leave and we take half, we're not stealing from you. We're taking half of what we earned in the marriage. And I don't think there is any argument that's going to change my mind on that. So you men in my comment section, y'all have gone crazy.
One thing I do think is interesting is when you go and you see a woman who's talking about her recent divorce online, it's not just one video. She turns her whole online persona into a conversation about her marriage, specifically her ex-husband and what she went through, unhappiness. That's what the top comment says. It says, this is all too common. Women who think their husbands are the reason they are unhappy and are responsible for making them happy, they throw it away only to learn they need to work on themselves. Sad. Do you think that they understood that men aren't responsible for their happiness? No. The response back here says, you men are so embarrassing with comments like this. Yikes. Don't forget the question here was, hey, do you have any regrets? Well, Anna Taylor, this chick, says not leaving sooner. Her only regret was not leaving sooner. Somebody else here says, I'll be honest. I don't know a single divorced person that regrets it. Well, that's a lie. We see it all the time. And this person responded back and says, I know many. Not all, but more than 60%. Somebody else here added, my regret is not leaving sooner. I wasted more years. And you guys know that every divorced chick who came across this video took the opportunity to leave a comment about how she should have left sooner. We know how this thing typically goes. But she did decide to respond to the comment about just how often it is that a wife will leave a marriage because she's unhappy and then end up on TikTok trying to figure it all out. Here's what she had to say.
No, no one is responsible for my happiness. But why is my happiness not a good enough reason to leave my marriage? It was not my husband's responsibility to make me happy. But if the marriage makes me unhappy, I'm leaving.
So she says, if the marriage makes me unhappy, I'm leaving. You know what I think when I hear that? I think, was that on your vows? Because everybody says the vows. Very few people actually mean it. And I've always said that they need to do away with that. People need to create their own vows. This is something that should have been there in bold print, not fine small print, in bold print. And if you're a man who vows not just marriage, but even just a long-term relationship with a woman, you want to talk about everything. You want to talk about the things that are going to lead to more stress. One of those things is, what do you believe about the purpose of marriage? Is it to make you happy? What if everyone's happy and you're not? Is it all about you? Right? And whose job is it? Whose responsibility is it? What would you do in that situation? Would you leave? Well, this chick would. And I think that that should be agreed upon and spoken about. Some people will be straight up and honest and say, hey, if you cheat, I'm out. Some people will say, I'm willing to work through it, depending on the severity. It's just what it is.
So I said that if a man buys me a drink, it's not cheating. And I stand by that. But I will agree with Fish Frenzy here that says cheating starts with a drink and then good conversation and then a hug and then a kiss and then blah, blah, blah. It continues from there. But I still don't think that if you buy me a drink, I've cheated. And you have to trust me that if we're in a relationship, that's where it ends. And because someone across the room sends a drink over, or a coworker that I'm out with in a group buys me a drink, it doesn't mean there's any intention there. And it certainly doesn't mean, even if there is intention on the other party's side, it doesn't mean that I'm going to follow through. So there has to be trust in the relationship that that's all it is.
Let's check out some of these comments. This gentleman here says, can men leave a marriage because they aren't happy? If it's cool for women, then it's cool for men as well, correct? A woman responded back and says, they do not leave. They cheat. So here we go. They cheat instead. They emotionally, okay, there she goes. She's going to run down the emotionally abuse. And there she has the stats that show every 9 seconds a woman is physically. Those aren't the majority of married women's experiences. And there's no way you're going to sit here and convince us that women are initiating divorces, putting their hands on women at mass. That's just not true. And the conversation immediately becomes disingenuous. Someone else here says men like this expect women to stay in unhappy marriages because it benefits them. Women generally work full-time and do most of the housework and parenting. They don't care if we're unhappy because they get free domestic labor, blah, blah, blah. But really, she said, why should we stay in a marriage with someone who doesn't value our happiness and is willing to exploit our labor? It's insane that they feel entitled to that. And so the question is, what's the solution? Is that man then supposed to make it his life's mission to make you happy consistently? People can barely make themselves happy. Why should they be burdened to focus on someone else's happiness? I'm not saying that people should treat people horribly here. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about expectations that are unrealistic, that are a result of what's going on inside of you, fulfillment you're getting from life, and not necessarily external factors. Here we have a woman who goes by the username The Divine Wicked. She says, I divorced my husband because I didn't like him anymore. Well, that username fits. Someone responded back and says, that's totally understandable. I would have rather her tell me that than pretended and waste both of our lives. Instead, she made me not like me either for the last 5 years and ruined my life. And now we both don't like me. She responded back and says, well, then cry about it, I guess. Jeez, Divine Wicked is right. You have to fight back, right? You got to keep fighting back. And that is the only way to improve. Gentlemen, this lady here says, being unhappy is a good enough reason to leave. Another chick here says, life is way too short to be unhappy. Nikki here says, all these people saying if everyone left their marriages because they were unhappy, then nobody would marry, are really selling the idea of marriage. Yeah, they're not selling it to you because you thought marriage is about happiness. I think they're doing a great job. Listen, the more that the sect of modern women who were somehow convinced through Aladdin, Cinderella, fairy tale movies that marriage is about happiness, the more that they learn that it's not, I think the better. The better. Someone else here says, I wish people would stop getting married if they think being unhappy is grounds for divorce. If vows can easily be ignored, just don't get married. Somebody else here added, please don't waste another man's time. A man will sacrifice his happiness for his family, and women will sacrifice her family for her happiness. It's easier to leave than to do the work. Let's see what people responded back to this. A woman here says, men don't sacrifice anything. They sit there and cry and moan and take it out on everyone around them. 32 likes of strong, independent women like that post. Somebody else who says, trust me, my ex didn't sacrifice a damn thing. He only cared about his happiness. He was only mad when I left because it made him look bad to his church friends. Oh, look, here we have a Christian woman who decided to leave her man because she was unhappy. Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of the Coffee Pod. To my currently engaged or soon to be married men, if you need a prenup and would like a guide that shows you how to get a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement, hit the link into the top of the comment section and access your guide at fathershaverights.com today.